Okay, we're live. Hey,
Hey,
how's it going? We're live. Crown Council Live. Stuart Anderson. Hey, Steve.
hello, Stu. Good day. How are
Good.
you?
I'm very good. How are you?
Excelente. Everything is good in Texas.
Very good. It's funny when we don't do Crown. I mean, last week was our fourth time doing our webinar series. So April,
Yes.
May, June, July. Last week was awesome. So much feedback from everybody that wants a copy. Everybody wants the resources that David talked about last week. So I am going to share my screen. Steve, thoughts on last week's webinar?
All right. So if you missed this, we did a webinar last week on everything that no one ever taught you about recruiting and hiring. And our mentor was David Rowe, who is the founder of Accelerated Dental Assisting Academy. David and his team recruit a ton of people into dentistry every year. They are masters of this. And what he shared was a seven-step process that they use that I think every practice ought to be using. I mean, it's solid. So definitely, I don't know of anybody who has more resources than they need right now in the hiring and recruiting equation. So this would be a must watch if you missed it. Plus, if you see the additional resources that Stuart's showing on the screen, David and his team have shared all kinds of resources that he talks about during the webinar that'll help you up your game in the recruiting area. So this is on crowncouncil.com in the Premium Member Hub under webinars. Again, highly recommend every office ought to watch this. I'm getting calls every week of, what do I do? My ads aren't working. We're not getting enough applicants. And David answers that question.
Yeah.
It's great stuff. So must watch.
We put a new button here, Steve's recommendation. So if you go right to the member hub, it's right here, latest content, our expert webinar. So you click there, it'll take you right to it. Super easy. And there's a quiz for CE. So man, a lot of great feedback. Everybody loved it. It was funny too. We had people that missed. We know it's kind of tricky to join live sometimes here. Everybody wanted to watch the recording and share with their team. So great topic, Steve. Thanks.
Good stuff. And some unconventional things that, and I would say this, if you watch this and you're already doing everything that David recommends, I want you to call me. Because I mean, what he goes through is just, it's awesome. So
yeah,
such good stuff.
Very good. All right. Hey, we've got Coach's Corner. Mary Beth Brown is going to join us live from Dr. Susan Evans' office.
I'm from Kansas.
So once a week, we try to bring in one of our TOPS coaches who are constantly all around the country in Crown Council practices, working on the systems and the skills that make a team.
Can you hear us?
Hey, Mary Beth, we can hear you.
Ooh, I don't hear you.
That'll be good. We're here, Mary Beth. Promise. So while Mary Beth's getting it situated.
Oh, we've got technical difficulties on my side. I thought I had this fixed.
All good.
I do not hear you.
Mary Beth, it's okay. It's just a live show. Hey, so
now?
Steve, can you hear me now, Mary Beth? Nope. Steve, how many tops practice coaches are out there working in offices every week?
Every day, everybody is
And I'm going to introduce you to Crystal. She's my IT traveling baby.
excellent.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
So every day the team is deployed all over the country. So, on a Thursday, like in offices from coast to coast. So, and today would be a perfect example of that, literally from coast to coast, all the way from Connecticut to California and everywhere in between. Susan Evans is in Kansas, and longtime Crown Council member and TOPS coaching team has worked with her practice. Susan, can you hear us now, Mary Beth? Nope, still not. We can hear you, but
We're good.
yeah, we can hear us.
Yes, we can.
Oh, great. Perfect.
So let me do, there you go. So let me introduce real quick. So Mary Beth Brown, who has been part of our coaching team since inception, since service was launched now, almost 20 years ago. And so Mary Beth has been in dentistry since she was 9 years old. And actually, we could say from birth. Her dad was a dentist.
From birth.
She started assisting when she was 9 years old.
I did.
So she is well past the 10,000 hour rule. Mary Beth, you probably racked up at least 100,000 hours by now. And
Absolutely.
you got it. And Crystal Dubois, wave at everybody, Crystal. So
Hey, Crystal.
Hello.
Also a very, very experienced member of our TOPS practice advisor team, has worked with practices all over the country. And so they're in Susan Evans' office, and we've had a relationship with Susan for a long time. And one of the things that makes Susan's current practice situation unique is she just, I guess, Mary Beth, you could say she merged, but she bought a practice and then they put both practices. She bought an additional practice and then they put both practices together. And so TOPS has been part of that whole process to merge the practices successfully, maintain the patients, and continue on the growth path. So tell us what you've been working on today, Crystal and Mary Beth.
Can I pause for one moment and introduce the star of the hour? Harvey.
Yeah, we got scoot over, Harvey.
Over here.
Harvey, here he is.
Everybody knows Harvey, right?
Yes.
So absolutely. Dr. Susan is in trenches, as we would say, and Harvey brought everybody warm, fresh baked cookies.
Nice. I love it.
Right? He knows how to take care of the team. What we have been working on as a team is, and the transition, Harvey's been so instrumental in being able to really update the facility so that we can do visual communication with the team and the patients. And so he has been installing on the 6 o'clock wall with his team all of the visual aids that we need. So the intraoral cameras and the photos and the patient's health history and all of the things that we like to talk with the patient with so that we're not behind their back talking to them is now at the 6 o'clock wall in the treatment rooms.
Nice.
So the patient suites have been updated by this gentleman right here.
I got a question for you guys.
Oh boy.
If cameras add 10 pounds to you, how many cameras you guys got on me anyway?
Just one. Just one camera.
Okay, so no more
Good to
cookies for
see you,
you.
man.
No more cookies for us. That's it.
There you go.
That's funny.
So this morning has been an orchestration of about 2.5 years since the merger, and as they created this space here, Dr. Evans, and I can kind of show you the beautiful team room that she has built for her team. So it's like coming to a kitchen, right? And this is where the team comes when they're not serving patients so that we can serve them. And, the better you take care of the team, the better they take care of your patients. And I think that's been a piece of the successful strategy here is we took 2 families and we've merged them into one. So 2 very successful private practices here in the Hutchinson, Kansas area, which is about what, 35,000 people?
Yeah.
Right? So I would call it a bedroom community, if you might, right? Everybody knows everybody and everybody's laundry. And so when you bring the families, I got a laugh out of that one. So when you're bringing the families together, there's a lot of stories and a lot of blending that have to happen, right? And so bringing the family together, we've done great things like our culture guides,
Nice.
right? So every day we bring our culture cards out instead of in home on
Nice.
a piece of paper, we've actually laminated them so that the team can go through them and choose either randomly or on purpose the one that they want to work with, because that's something that they've never done before. And, as we work on the systems to know our teammates, we have all sorts of different props here. Let me see if I can get the next prop for you. Oh, here it is. It's our ball of fun.
I love it. Tell us about that.
Questions. So as a team, I'm going to throw this to Harvey. He's going to catch it, and wherever his left thumb is the question he's going to answer.
All right, read us the question, Harvey.
What is your favorite musical instrument?
What is your favorite musical instrument?
Drums.
The drums. Bam.
Mhm,
Love it.
mhm.
So because we practice the art of asking questions, such a great question asker, it allows us to get to know our other teammate, and it gives us the opportunity to practice a skill and have a little fun along the way, right? So we implement things like that. So tomorrow is team trainings. Today is going to be, it's hands on deck, boots on the ground, and we're seeing patients today.
Nice. Very cool. It's, when we talk about creating a culture of success and, taking two different cultures and putting them together successfully, it is heavier lifting than I think most people realize. It doesn't just happen.
No.
In fact, when you take two different cultures and you try and put them together, if it's not done by design, it's going to be done by disaster. There will be collateral damage and bodies left on the side of the road unless there's a clear direction on what kind of culture we want it to be. And that's what patients buy. I mean, Harvey, they love the cameras and they love the equipment. And what they talk about is how they feel when they're in the practice, right? I mean, that's what patients buy, and they come back. They kind of take the clinical piece of it for granted that everybody knows what they're doing, but it's the culture. So love the ideas, and nice work on taking two cultures and blending them together to create a ongoing culture of success in Hutchinson, Kansas.
Absolutely. So it's like you said, it is like the law of entropy. If it's not worked on daily, it falls apart, right?
For sure.
Well, I know that your next speaker is somebody our guest is going to be somebody that's been with the company at both TOPS and Crown Council for a long time. So make sure to tell Dr. Travis I said hello.
We will.
Say for you. Absolutely. Good deal.
Good.
Thanks for sharing. And
Thanks, Mary Beth.
And Harvey, has been on the Rivers for Hope and to all the Crown Council annual events over the last several years, as Dr. Evans is working on her qualified membership status.
Nice.
So we were wondering, is there a way to get spouse qualified member status?
Ooh.
I think we have a new idea that was just hatched in the middle of the country.
Right?
Do you want to be
Right?
the first? Do you want to be the first qualified husband? Do you want
Yes,
to
pioneer.
Harvey's going to be the first man.
This is
I love it.
Let's do
Absolutely.
this.
So,
Or
so
let's see,
that would be
what do we call
question.
that? I think we call it in government the first gentleman.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, you better get to know me a little better before you call me that.
All right. I think you may have hatched an idea, Harvey. We'll be back to you on that.
This is great. All you got to do is ask, and we will do it. This
I
is great.
love
And then Harvey will bring you these beautiful
Yes.
warm cookies.
Well, we may have to decide whether the cookies come first or the recognition.
It's too bad this isn't a smell-o-vision. We could at least like the smell.
Smell-o-vision. This guy is a comedian. This is
Yes, he
awesome.
is.
You know, this is the way we spend our day. That's what the culture of the practice is all about, right?
Nice.
Serious and fun all at the same time.
Very good.
Well, thank you guys for taking the time to join us in Hutchinson, Kansas. I might highly recommend that you come here during the 4th of July and enjoy the fireworks that this great office also participates in. They're pretty spectacular.
Very cool.
Thank you guys.
Thanks for beaming in.
Bye, guys. See you soon. Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Radio us out. Tell Travis I said hi.
We will. Man, the first gentleman, we're doing it. That's
I
gonna be
think
fun.
we did a lot of work has gone into that. Putting two practices together is not, if you want to retain patients and retain teamers, not an easy task.
Yeah.
And it's been a great move. Good move for Susan and good move for the practice and everybody in it. So great success, great culture of success story.
Very cool. All right. Hey, we've got in the waiting room Stephen Husky and Brandon Wilson from Blue Water Dental Advisors. You might have met, we had them on the live stream in the fall. So we're going to welcome them back. I hope they're in the waiting room. I think they are. And we're going to talk to Blue Water Dental Advisors for just a minute. Maybe share a bit of the resources that are already on the Crown Council website from these guys and let them introduce themselves. They've also got some incredible CE stuff out there for us that dentists can learn from. So we're looking forward to having them.
There they are.
You guys are muted. You got to unmute.
We're good.
There
We
you
just
go.
wanted to,
Oh,
we didn't wanna
what
interrupt
is-
what you were saying?
Oh, you're pro. I see. You're professional Zoomers. Very good. How's it going?
Fantastic, man. It's good to be in the presence of you guys again and the Crown Council members. I love the background. I'm envious of the wood grain. And the
Oh yeah,
butcher-
see Steve's background is real, but everyone knows that this is not real wood.
the laminate.
Steve's read every single one of those books too. If I had to
All right.
guess.
So you ready for this? All right.
He's written half of them.
This is my favorite in the collection. I collect books and this is one of my favorites. So this is actually, you guys would like this. So this is the Handbook of Consumer Motivations. Written, this is a classic, boys. This was printed in 1964. This may be older than any of us on this call. Anyway, yeah, one of my favorite things. And I'll tell you one of the reasons, just real quick, because this ties into what you guys are going to talk about, is there is, I think, a direct correlation between learning and progress and continually creating, what we talk about all the time in the Crown Council, which is a culture of success. And part of that is creating a learning culture. And you guys have provided some great resources for all the Crown Council members in that area. So before we get to that, just quick little backstory. You guys are based in Charleston, South Carolina.
Correct.
One of the most beautiful spots in America. And for those who don't know, why don't you give us just a quick backstory on Blue Water Dental Advisors, what you do, how you do it, and why the brand? Why Blue Water? Why not Pink Water or Mountain Water?
Well,
Blackwater. There's what's the famous company? Blackwater. Yeah.
Black Rock, Blackstone.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So why Blue Water? Well, we all kind of want to retire around some blue water one day, I think.
All right. Like Charleston, South Carolina.
Our water's a little dirty, it's a little brown. But Charleston's great. I mean, we've called it home for over 20 years now. Both Brandon and I, who was in the screen a second ago, we've been doing this as a combined effort for 20 years in the business planning space. Personal planning is one thing. It's very cookie cutter, very kind of dry. Everybody kind of gets the same experience. Business planning is so complex. And we know that dental practice owners kind of thrown into the mix when it comes to business and how to run one and how to grow a great culture, which is why TOPS is so important, which is why Crown Council is such a great resource for these folks. We also chose dentists because we already had quite a few dentists in our book of clients. And we found they all kind of had the common theme of not knowing where to go next. Either it's a new venture or it's retirement. They don't necessarily know how to plan for life's largest financial transaction, which is the eventual exit of your practice.
Mhm.
And also, there's just that lack of education. They went to school for very specific, for either research or to learn about how to create a good dental practice, but not actually how to run one. So with that expertise and, certified exit planners on our team, it just made common sense to bring that message and education to all the dental practice owners.
Ooh, now there is a title I have never heard before, a certified exit planner. Tell us about that. That's awesome.
So it's similar to the CEPA designation, which I think is actually easier to achieve than the CEXP. That took me about a year to study for, 2 long essays I had to write, and it's given and governed by the Business Enterprise Institute out of Colorado. So definitely not a credential I want to lapse. It was a lot of work. And we specify really in just helping people understand what exit opportunities they have, how to plan for it, the right structure, and different trusted professionals they need on their team to make this big transaction happen seamlessly.
Very cool.
Nice.
A certified exit planner. So, and I assume that certification, that's just not for dentistry. That's like business in general, all the things you got to understand and do to exit your business successfully.
That's correct. We've worked with HVAC companies, construction companies, manufacturers, and other businesses that we own, but Blue Water was specific to the dental industry, and we kind of use the language that dentists are familiar with. And so, the riches are in the niches. You got to make sure you're speaking directly to your audience, and that's how we do it.
And we built a
Very
process.
cool.
And the process we've built is very specific to dentists as well. So
Very good.
So on that point, Stephen, maybe you could just, for everybody's education, just as a heads up, how far in advance do you recommend that a dentist really start seriously into the exit planning process?
I'd say from the moment you open your practice, really. When we started this business, and I'm sure just like you've done with Tops and Crown, is you need to have a good 1 year, 3 year, 7 year, 10 year, 15-year plan, and checking the boxes of all the items and goals you've done to this point accomplished. And this is one of those things you can fit in. And the earlier you get it done, you can take more bite-sized pieces and approach to what you're doing instead of trying to cram it all into a year or two. We've had folks come to us that are a year out from selling. We have folks that were wanting to sell yesterday, but really 5 to 7 years is the amount of time it takes to really get this done in a good way and to bring on the folks that are going to add the most value to the sale.
Got it.
Very good.
Okay. So, a good runway leads to a good exit.
Yeah, I'm sure you've read Stephen Covey's book, Planning with the End in Mind.
Begin with
It's
the
one of
end
his
in mind.
principles.
You got it. All right. So you heard it straight from maybe the first CEP you've ever met. Even Husky certified exit planner.
I'm going to navigate here to, so if you guys should be able to see my screen here. This is on the Crown Council resource partner pages. And maybe will you guys talk about this for a minute? We uploaded something different. This is exclusive for Blue Water Dental Advisors. This is a 1-hour course called The 3 Doors of Exit. And there's no other resource partner that has this kind of educational program on their resource partner page. Can you tease a little bit about what this is and how it works?
Sure. So I want to mention the backdrop first. When you watch the video, it looks like we're in like a nice blue water island. We're actually just at one of our clubs that we're members of. But what I like about it is it's strictly educational. There's no sales pitch in it. It's all about the 3 doors of exit that you can walk through when you're ready to leave your business inevitably. And we also mention how, the check that we receive at sale, whether it comes in installments or it's a big upfront check, whether it's from a third party or, an associate you're selling to, that doesn't always translate into the same amount of money that we're going to use then for a new venture or for retirement. So we also talk about how that net check is going to create the cash flow that you want to have a similar or the same lifestyle when you're out of dentistry.
Love it.
And it's 27 minutes and you get an hour of credit. That's not a bad deal.
I'm not sure how that works.
That's good math. That's good math.
The quiz should take you 30 minutes. Right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Very good. All right. Hey, quick question about when dentists are approached by resource partners or businesses. Steve always encourages them to ask those resource partners, what are the common questions? What are the common things that you guys are seeing? Because you're interacting with hundreds of dental practices every day, whereas a normal dental office, they're not interacting with that many people. So when you guys are interacting and talking with other dental practices, what are the common questions or common concerns that you're seeing most come up?
Well, the first two that we hear are actually akin to most business owners and what's kind of keeping them up at night. The first is all around cash flow. Do I have enough oxygen in my business? How do I maximize the effectiveness of that cash flow? And then secondly, the question I pose to them is, if you were going to get a resignation on your desk tomorrow, whose resignation letter would hurt you and your business the most? So we do a lot of different conversations around reward and incentivization strategies to keep your key employee group together, because that makes that business so viable and so sellable, attractive to a buyer. So losing great people and cash flow, those are really the two main things.
So true. In fact, we were just talking earlier, we did a great webinar last week on recruiting and retention. That was huge. So that is an ongoing effort. It's not an event. It's not something you do when you have an opening. It's something you do all the time. It's and a big, go ahead.
I would add too that, this is more with the one man, one woman shops, but, what happens if I've got carpal tunnel and I can't be in here tomorrow to actually get in somebody's teeth? The hygienist can't do that. The dental assistants can't do that. The office manager can't do that. And I know it's not fun to think about, but that's real stuff.
It is.
I've got example upon example of little things that have happened that have put somebody out, and shutting doors down, having to let employees know, and their families are affected. It's just a bad ripple effect.
Yeah. Life happens. And when you're in a business where, showing up is an essential part of the success of the business. That's got to be part of the whole plan, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Very cool. Last question, guys. Biggest mistake, if you had to just pinpoint the biggest mistake most dentists make as it has to do with planning their practice, the future of their practice, it would be what?
I think a lot of professionals, doesn't matter what industry you're in, kind of fly by the seat of their pants. And, we have to make thousands of financial decisions throughout our lifetime. And we kind of accumulate all of these items in a financial junk drawer. And we're not really sure how they all work together or communicate. So, one of the things you could really do is get super financially organized so that when you're making these decisions in the future, talking with your CPA, talking with your banker, attorney, any of these folks, it's important that we're all speaking the same language and that we all have a common goal around helping the practice owner have the best experience, grow the practice where they want it, protect it the best way possible, and then maximize, their eventual exit of the business. So I think getting super financially organized and creating a mission statement around why you're planning, going back to that mission statement each time you've got questions is vital to success.
Love it.
Very good. All righty, guys. Hey, I'm going to share my screen one more time. When you are in the Crown Council website, so we're here on crowncouncil.com, go to my directory up at the top, and everybody on will be able to scroll down and see the resource partners page right here. And very easy to scroll down. You can either type it into the search up top, you can type in Blue Water, or we can scroll down and look at financial services. I hope that's where it is. There it is, Blue Water Dental Advisors. And is this the best way to connect, Stephen and Brandon? Yep.
Absolutely.
That's the best resource from Crown Council for sure. Our website also is easy, bluewaterDentalAdvisors.com. It looks like you've got it right there. Yeah. And I'll mention too that, we're not McGill and Hill. We're not Henry Schein. We're not any of those brokers. We're not bankers. We're not DSOs. We help put the pretty bow together on your practice when you're actually ready to have that conversation and things have been done well along to make sure you're ready to go.
Very good.
Excellent. Hey,
All right, guys.
Thanks for the tips today. And I'm going to put down as one of my new things today. I met my first certified exit planner. Never met one of those before. Now I can say I have.
Few and far between.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Thank you,
guys. Appreciate it.
Have a good one.
You too.
Man. Okay.
I love that. Very cool.
Yeah, very cool. It's just I agree with them that it's not something that you want to do right away. It's not something I just started a business, now let's start talking about exiting the business.
Well, I'll
But
tell
it's,
you I'll tell you an interesting just add on to that, Stu, is, and for anybody who's listening where this might fit, we highly recommend that everybody in the Crown Council be part of a Crown Council mastermind group. We recently started what we're calling a legacy mastermind group. So everybody in the group is in this stage that Brandon and Stephen just talked about. So they're in kind of one stage or another of transitioning from practice. And so it's a really fun bunch. We got some that have exited practice and are on to what we call the second mountain.
Mhm.
And there are some that are going into that, that phase of transitioning out of practice. But the whole purpose of the group is to build a culture of success on what Roy Hammond used to call the back nine, what others call the second mountain, but it's all about creating a great culture. And we have Crown Council mastermind moderators that are part of this group, those that are leading our humanitarian expeditions. We got just an amazing group. So I would highly recommend anybody that's in that, if you're kind of going into that transition phase where you're thinking, it's time, I'm working on my plan to at least exit the practice of dentistry, but there's a whole other piece of this now moving forward.
Yeah.
We're creating more legacy mastermind groups as well, and would love to get you involved in the process.
Very
So
cool.
it's moderated by Dr. Jamie Sled, who just sold her practice in April and planned for this for years. I met Jamie and her husband, Tom, in Baldwin City, Kansas, 2 weeks ago.
Mhm.
Came and helped us facilitate Eagle U. They came in their gargantuan RV.
RV.
Holy smokes, this thing was amazing.
Huh.
Yeah, it was luxury on wheels, baby. And they're going all over the country, all over the world. Jamie's in Indonesia today. So anyway, it's cool stories. So never done. So bring it on. If you want to be part of a legacy mastermind group, we'd love to hear from you.
Very cool. Hey, we've got our final guest in the waiting room. This is Dr. Travis Hammonds. He's joining us live. So fun to have him joining us. It's been a long time trying to get him on, which has been fun to try to get him on. I know joining live is not always the easiest thing, so super grateful for him and thankful for the time he spent to be with us.
Live from
Doctor?
Austin, Texas.
Yes.
Made
it.
How are you, man?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good, good. So first off, greetings from Hutchinson, Kansas. So Mary Beth Brown was just on a few minutes ago.
Oh, yes.
And she's up in Dr. Susan Evans' practice today, doing a coaching engagement. So she said to say hi because she knew you were going to be on next. So
She's a wonderful person. You gotta love Mary Beth.
yeah. So anyway, Travis, give us the backstory. You're in Austin, Texas, home of the upcoming Crown Council annual event, which will be in Austin in January for the first time in our almost 30-year history. We've done it out in Hill Country before, San Antonio, Dallas, but we are coming to Austin, Texas. And you actually led the way on this. So maybe you can just give everybody a quick history. So you moved to Austin some years ago and have just had a blast there. We converted you to being a Texan.
You did.
Give everybody the backstory real quick.
All right, backstory. So I graduated from UOP with our good friend Jared Tyre. He and I were classmates. And for the first couple of years out of school, I actually was working for the military and was stationed in Germany. So I worked in Germany for a couple of years, and then I actually was deployed to Iraq for 16 months or so. Came back from that, set up shop in St. George, Utah, but it was in 2008 when everybody was trying to find something to do and had a lot going on there. So we up and looked around, and honestly, we looked everywhere. New Mexico, Colorado, Arizona, Utah. I told my wife, I'm like, hey, let's go check out Texas. She's like, I don't want to move to Texas. And so, yeah, we land in Austin, Texas, and it was a funny thing. We were about 20 minutes away from the airport, and we both looked at each other and we're like, you know what? This is it. This is where we're supposed to be. It was just really clear and confirmed that there was a reason we needed to be here in Texas. So yeah, that was almost 14 years ago now.
Wow.
And converted Texan. But we love Austin. It's a wonderful place. You guys are gonna have a blast when you're here this upcoming January.
It's a great place to be, and so we love having you in Texas. Once a
Travis,
Texan, always a Texan, right?
Travis, did you always want to be
That's
a dentist, Travis, or was that something that came a little later in life? Was there a mentor or a leader that kind of guided you down this path?
It's funny you say that. When we were getting ready to take my daughter to Japan for her senior trip a couple years ago, and my mom showed up to watch the kids, and she brought like a couple boxes of all my stuff, all the pictures I've drawn
Thanks,
as a
Mom.
2-year-old and a 5-year-old, right? All my report cards and everything. So we were having a good time going through it all, and I pull up this picture and I'm looking at it, and it's a drawing on it, but on the top it says, "When I grow up, I want to be a dentist and visit the forests of Japan." And I
Really?
was 7 years old when I had written that.
Wow. And there you were, done both.
I've done both of them, right? And so it was just really, really funny and
That's
interesting. I
awesome.
could completely forgotten about that. But yeah, it's always been something I wanted to do. I had a good mentor growing up, a good friend of mine. He was my wrestling coach, became dentist. His name's Sheldon Sullivan. And, he's just always been a really good guy and kind of kept me pointed in the right direction. And, all the pieces fell into place. And, this is my calling for sure.
Love
Very
it.
cool.
So tell us about the practice you have built. I mean, you guys landed in a new town, didn't know anybody. Basically, I'm not going to say you basically had a clean sheet of paper to create whatever you wanted to create, which is such a fun opportunity. So how did you go about that process, and tell us about what you've created?
I had actually, the reason I should say the practice we came to Texas for, I was actually going to be a partner into a different practice, and we were 3/4 of the way through all that paperwork and everything. And I drove out to get the family and came back home and show up to the practice. I'm like, so what happened to my schedule? And like, it was blank and like, there's nobody on it. And I'm like, oh, okay, a little scary. So like that fell apart, but I just brought my family over. We had all just moved in and I have no job and no practice. I had a couple other irons.
Being in Texas.
Yeah, right. But Texas was great. Falling all pieces into place, 2 weeks after that, my daughter was born. My wife was almost 9 months pregnant too, by the way.
Wow.
And two weeks later, we had an emergency delivery. My daughter had a bunch of complications. Long story short, she spent her first month of life in the NICU, which is kind of the way we feel we needed to be here in Texas, because where we were, we didn't have the facilities that were going to be necessary for her to make it. So a little side note blessing, but we had found another practice at the same time I was looking at. It was an older doctor. He was in his late 60s and had been practicing for quite a while. And, but when you look at his practices, it wasn't one of those practices I was like, yes, I want to buy this. It was a diamond in the rough for sure. It was, the guy had 7 inches of papers piled up on his desk, vertical.
Oh boy.
From side to side. And so if that gives you any window into what the whole entire office looked like, it was not pretty. But at the same time, I went in and worked with him for a couple of days, and I could see he had a great patient base. They all loved him, but he hadn't really been doing the dentistry that needed to be done. And
That's
so
not
I saw
best practice.
It's good though.
for sure. So yeah, it was diamond in the rough, and like they were at the time, they were maybe producing $300,000 a year, and it just it was definitely a lot of potential. So we came in and started cleaning up shop. Oh, they had 1 computer, that was it. And so since then, you're right, I kind of had a blank page. In fact, another anecdotal story, when we were going through this process, again, papers aren't signed, nothing's done complete yet. And I am in the process of talking to this gentleman, and he's like, I was working with him at the time, and he's like, you look like you got this in hand. I have a couple things I want to do. This was 2 weeks after me being here and far before we actually finalized anything, but he never showed back up to work.
Seriously?
That was the end of the story.
His exit
Seriously.
strategy.
Wait, so did you ever buy the practice?
Uh-huh.
Did he just
I
leave?
did, yeah. I mean, I guess he had full confidence we were going to go through with it, but he
Oh
was
my
just,
goodness.
he was done. And so it was kind of handed to me, and I basically wrote him a letter like, "Hey, look, you have 3 days to get whatever you want out of this practice because I am cleaning shop."
Wow.
And he got what he wanted, and we filled the dumpster 3 times full with the
Wow.
stuff that I was getting out of here. So remodeled it, put in systems. That's right around the time I was kind of getting hot and heavy with tops and everything. And Mary Beth came in and helped out. So we got our systems in place and got the right kind of staff hired. And it's been an incremental growth ever since. And we're doing really well.
I love that story.
You're doing great. See you later. Travis, when you look at like when you as a leader look at your team, look at your practice, what do you see that you're doing or the people you've hired that makes you different? Like, why are people coming to you and repeating and referring? What is it that you're doing?
And just out of context for everybody to understand, there is no shortage of dentists in Austin, Texas. So just in case anybody's just out there saying, man, let's go to Austin and we're going to, no, Austin is a very crowded market, growing city, but a very crowded market. There is no shortage of options in Austin. So you got to differentiate yourself in some way.
Yeah, that's a great question, though. And it's one of the things that we've worked really hard at. Over the course of the history of the practice, we have, one of the guiding principles I've always had is do what's right by the patient and the money will follow.
Yep.
And so for me, it was all about, creating an experience for the people that are coming in that was atypical. Calling your new patients before they even show up at the office and calling your patients that you've worked with that night and making sure they're doing okay. And, those little personal touches, they mean a lot. There's people who have, raved about it online saying, you know what, my doctor called me last night and see what I was doing. Like, whose doctor does that? And, it just makes you different. And you're not a number, you're not cattle. And I take the time to get to know my patients. And so I have personal relationships with all of them. It's one of the things that kind of surprised me about dentistry. I remember when I had my first patient pass away, that hurt. And it wasn't something I was expecting at all. I never really thought that you develop the profoundness of the relationships with your patients that you do. And so they become family. And in fact, a couple of weeks ago, I got a text when it was late in the evening, and I got the text, it's a picture. And all I did is I just reached over and I showed it to my wife. I'm like, look, and it was in the delivery room, baby just born, laying on mom's chest. Everybody looks like it had just been a birth. And my wife's like, why are they sending that to you? And I'm like, I would never dream of sending my dentist that picture. But,
Cool.
You develop these relationships. And so I guess to answer your question.
New patient.
That's cool.
Yeah, right. Exactly. New patient. And we actually have little onesies with Hammond's Family Dental on it. We give all the
That's awesome.
so it's the little things, in my opinion, that it doesn't take a lot. Spend the time, get to know them, make them feel like people, make sure they're listened to, have an experience that they won't forget. And then on the other side, I've brought in a lot of technology that facilitates dentistry for my patients as well. We have the ability to do same-day crowns and no goop in the mouth, all these things that people have really grown to appreciate. In fact, my scanner went down a couple of months ago, and I had like $10,000 in dentistry that got rescheduled because patients didn't want for me to prep it, temp it, and have them come back. They're like, no, I'll just reschedule, come back a different day. I just want this done in one visit. I'm like, suck, but okay. But yeah, so that's kind of what sets me apart a little bit different. Technology and just, the culture of the practice.
Culture of success, and lest anybody think that dentistry has radically changed that much. It is a relationship business.
Yeah, for sure.
You
never know where those relationships are going to come from either, right? You never know which one of the people it's going to be. I think I told you guys that story the other day about that doctor who called me up and told me to take his practice. And that was a phone call that we didn't expect to have. And he was retiring. He was 70 something years old, and He
got
literally
a
just wanted to hand me
reputation.
his practice.
You got a reputation for this, Travis.
Yeah,
Dentists
I tell you.
come leave their practice with you.
Yeah, here you go, take it. But
Drop-
that was, the thing that stood out to me with that one, and the takeaway I took from that, it was one patient who came in for a same day crown because their endodontist referred them to me because I needed it done before a trip. Wasn't going to be a permanent patient, wasn't going to be, it wasn't one of my existing patients, but that one day exposure that I had to that person led to, the feedback to the owner of that other practice who called me and wanted me to take it, not buy it, take his practice.
I love that story. You never know. Just do the right thing. You never know what's going to come back. Very cool.
100%.
If there were something, if you could go back in time, knowing what you know now, this is our favorite question. And tell the Travis Hammonds who was graduating from UOP, what would you tell him that you wish you would have known then that you know now?
Oh geez, number one, there's just so much you don't know. Everybody graduates dental school, and I think we all think we're God's gift to dentistry at that point in time. And as the years tick by, the humility comes on. And at this point, I think there's so much more I want to know and want to learn. But having an itemized way of going about learning different subsets of dentistry and specializing in those things. That's one of the goals I have currently, I have for many, many years, is I will take a new facet of dentistry and become an expert in it and apply that to my practice. And so that's kind of how the continued growth that I have there. And then, the business side of things, that's one thing they don't teach in dental school. There's a lot of things I wish I would have known through that process. Probably too many to kind of get into here, but but HR sucks.
Not a piece of cake, is it?
No, that the hardest thing that I will ever have to do is manage the people in my practice. At this point, the dentistry is easy. There's nothing that surprises you anymore, but the people is where it gets hard.
Well, and I think on that point, Travis, regardless of the structure, regardless of the ownership structure of a practice, if you're a dentist, you are in the people management business. You can't get away from it. I don't care who owns it.
100%.
You are constantly managing and leading people. And it's a big part of the culture starts with you.
100%. And you're 100% correct. And that it's a skill that needs to be developed, those person skills and being able to read people and being able to adapt yourself to their personality profiles. I think that's one of the things that, I don't know, maybe I would have told myself to get good at sooner, is those people skills. I've developed it quite a bit. I'm fairly decent at it at this point in time in my career. But I'm able to disarm people and talking to them and kind of just get them comfortable with the fact that I know what's going on and I got them taken care of. And then I'm not here to just dig through their pockets, and I'm actually here to help them get what they want.
Very good.
Well, listen, congratulations on what you've built and what you continue to build. It is a never-ending process. And we have unofficially dubbed you and named you the host of the Crown Council annual event.
Yep.
All right. Host I am.
And you're in good company because we have a number of other Crown Council members that are local that are going to join you as co-hosts. And we're looking forward to an amazing experience. So thanks for sharing with us today. Love your example.
Sure.
Thanks for sharing your wisdom.
Thanks,
I
Travis.
appreciate you guys having me on. Yeah.
Okay, man. We'll see you soon.
See you later, sir.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
He went to school. When my brother-in-law was going to school, and then Jared was going to school, those three were thick as thieves.
Oh yeah,
coming out. So I've watched his career since he graduated. Been so fun to watch him progress as a leader and as a dentist. It's been cool to watch his journey. What a good guy.
Got some great tips today.
Yeah.
I learned about a culture ball from Hutchison. Love that idea. We're gonna go to work on the first gentleman qualified member. That should be a blast. Met my first certified exit planner. Never met one of those before, and a lot of great tips from what Travis has built. So this has been a productive hour. Thank you.
Yeah,
Stuart.
don't forget camera. What did he say? Camera adds 10 pounds. What did he say?
That's it?
Camera? I don't know.
I don't know.
Very good.
I don't know.
All righty. Well, we'll be back next week, August 3rd. We've got a few guests already lined up, but we're here every week, Thursday at 11 Mountain Time, Crown Council Live. Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, everybody. Good to be with you.
Thanks, everybody.